What's up, friends? Good night, good night, good night, good night. Y'all know you can go two ways. You can go live and you can go mini live. How is everyone tonight? How are you guys doing tonight, friends? How are you doing tonight? I hope it is a wonderful night for you. Today was a very interesting conversation. I'm glad I had it. Thank you very much again. Lots of big ups and thank you very much again to Evan. Thank you very much to Kez and thank you very much to Linda for coming on the panel and just for talking. Especially Linda and Evan provided some great insights. You know, what I mean, I never know when I do these kits. I never know who might need like some information into something or some idea that you could get from these kits. But hey, it's mini lifetime. Don't worry about it. Virgos, the people who are Virgos, if it makes you feel any better, my daughter is a Virgo. If it makes you feel any better, my daughter is a Virgo. But hey, nonetheless, Anthony is about to be cloned. It's another one of those nights again when Amber clones him. So let's get into it. Let's see what we got going. Let's go.
Oh. Okay, blow it.
It's
Okay,
just
blow
a
harder.
Okay, hold on. It's just there. You good?
Oh,
Yeah.
I think you got it.
Told you about wearing them palm tree lashes. Bat
It's not
wings.
fun. They are not bat wings, whatever. Oh, that was crazy. So, what's your plans for tomorrow? I was hoping that you can go to the club with me.
I gotta go by and see Kai.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you know how this works now. So basically now that he knows that Iman is over there, he's gonna be going over there consistently. Now before, this would have not been an issue for me at all before learning what I learned today, which is why sometimes I have to talk to other people and hear from other folks. Today, I've learned so much from just Evan and from Linda as to their explaining of marijuana and those things. No, yes, he needs to go over there. He now needs to be watching the situation at this point in time. He really does need to be doing this. Normally, I wouldn't care, but it is what it is. At this point in time, he does need to do that. Let me ask y'all a question. Based, do you think, do you think that Anthony needs to keep going to see Kai? Based on what y'all know, one for yes and two for no. For the sake of Kai, forget Anthony. For the sake of Kai, do you believe that Anthony needs to be going over there? That is my question right now. That's the question I have to ask. Keep running.
So, how have you and Mr. Shumpert been getting along?
I mean, it's whatever.
It's whatever.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
So, y'all have just been buddy buddy or what?
Amber, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to get out of me? It seems like you're fishing for something.
Yes, Amber. What do you need to find out what's going on right now? Where you want here, Amber? Where you want the man to tell you? where you want to need the man to tell you? Based on what y'all know, it's a good question now. Y'all watch the show today. Y'all heard from Evan White Sr. that has a direct experience with all of this. It's not the full same thing, but he now knows he was able to bring some things to the light. Based on what y'all have seen, do you believe that Anthony should be going over there? Me say, at this point, yes, he needs to be going over there. But Amber, proceed.
I am just asking my husband what's going on in his life. What's wrong with that?
Me and Iman don't have any kind of relationship. I mean, he was holding my son yesterday and, pissed me off.
It pissed you off.
Yeah.
So you felt some kind of way about him holding Kai?
Yeah. I mean, Shayla barely even knows this guy and he's holding my son. What, I'm not supposed to feel a certain way?
Is this about him holding Kai, or is this about you upset that he's in Shayla's
Okay,
life?
no.
I'm
Okay.
just asking because you seem a little.
Look, we're not gonna do this.
He is ticked off, and he's ticked off for valid reasons. Based on what we have now learned, right? We've now learned that basically the idea of the weed and all that kind of thing is terrible. And we learned that, it is what it is. But of course, we know as well that Shayla is going to be doing this as like, what you call it now? She's going to consistently do this as a way of controlling Anthony. We know that as well too. We also know that Anthony does need to get what is called a custody order. He needs to get that. But it is what it is. So let me see y'all's comments. She's looking to confirm if Anthony is accepting Shayla's new relationship, and I think he is. But it just makes sense. It just makes sense. Clarence says, O'Neill, it's time for Amber to leave Anthony. It is, but hey, she not leave. Like people say, she's not leave. Love petty Amber. She is being petty. She is being petty. Amber is actually not being petty. She's actually being. She's actually trying to be calm and rational to get Anthony to open up to her. You know what? Makes sense. Makes sense. Is Amber being petty? Is Amber being petty? There you go. One for yes. Whoop, one for yes. And two for no. Because I like this comment from Kiri. I like this comment, Kiri. It's a very interesting comment. I like it. I'm going to table it.
I'm gonna say this once. I'm gonna say it for all. I don't care about Shayla. I don't care about Iman. I care about Kai. And she practically has a stranger around my son. So what if he's famous, an NBA player? I don't know him. So it ain't about him, her. It's about my baby. That's it.
So you don't like him holding Kai.
No.
So what do you expect to happen though, Anthony? I mean, if Kai is with us, it would be natural for me to hold him.
That's different.
How
That's
is-
different. Shayla was your best friend. You know her.
He does have a point. Honestly, guys, him do have a point. Tell me what you think. He does have a point. Is there a difference? That it is a question. Is there a difference between Amber holding Kai and Iman holding Kai? I think he does have a point to that, but maybe me ask question for confirmation because you know it work already. And two for no. For no. Hello, Linda. I was just bigging you up just now, saying that thank you very much for coming on today. Good evening. Good evening. Is this something? If Anthony's concerned about Kai, he needs to call Child Protected Services. Well, I don't think he's. Well, I think what he wants to do is to confirm first. Well, maybe it's that or something else, But based on what we know today, I guess it makes sense him go over there. I guess.
I don't know him. Do you know him? You know of him. I know of him. I don't know him. Look, let's just not talk about this anymore.
Oh, babe. My dad always taught me that there's consequences to sin. And unfortunately, for you, Iman is gonna hold Kai. It's gonna happen. I'm just saying, as your wife, just letting you know. So you might as well get over it.
All right. So Amber is correct, Amber's assessment of this is correct by saying, Amber might as Anthony might as well get over it. I think she's correct. In all of what she's saying, Anthony, Amber is correct in what she's saying. The problem with it is this. Iman must by now smell like weed. Him smell like weed. So it's another checkmate. In other words, checkmate Anthony. But he does smell like weed based on what we're learning now. He smells like weed. So if he's smelling like weed, then that's an issue. If the stepfather smell like weed, that's an issue. Kai is safer with Anthony. Exactly. Kai is safer with Amber. So all of these people that we're talking about Amber, who would you prefer to be holding Kai? Based on what you know. Based on now what we have discussed today. Because Linda has been on, Evan White Sr. has been on, and to an extent Kes has been on. Right? And they have, well, main persons, Linda and Anthony White Sr. gave some really good interesting takes as far as the whole idea of the weed smoking. Based on what you know. Based on what you know. Who is better to be holding Kai? Iman or Amber? Based on what we know. Because right now, based on what we know right now, the whole idea of the marijuana and all that kind of thing, it is what it is. He will have to get over it, but I don't think he's off on what he's saying because Iman is an avid weed smoker. Weed is an avid weed. It's not the fact that he's just a man holding him son, but he must say him no know. He doesn't know the guy, him not know nothing at all about him. And one of the things that we know right now is that Iman is an avid weed smoker. We know say is a man that burn the trees very heavily. We know say Iman, the one thing we know about Iman is that he's going to get high. We don't know anything about Iman, but we know one thing about him. We know that Iman is going to get high. That's what we know. That's what we know about Iman. So right now, for the people who before did I say, boy, Amber this and Amber that, the truth is now we have seen, based on Evan White Sr. and based on Linda's conversation, based on these conversations right now, and we had a whole conversation today, 2 hours. We were on for 2 hours. Thank you very much for hanging out for so long. Based on the conversation that we have had today, we now know Amber, she did more than Shayla because she cooked for the baby. Exactly. Amber even cooked for the baby. What is Iman going to feed this baby? Something is going to happen to Kai. You watch. So people are saying that this is where we're going right here. So definitely not Iman. Impairs your senses. This is the weed impair your senses. So he could cause an accident. Definitely not that. Mary said Mary. If it was really about Kai, he would take Shayla to court for joint custody. It is never about Kai. And still not give you, and still not going to be. Okay. So Iman, who wants his son, a man who wants his son would have a baby mama in court for their child. And I think some people's argument to that is that there is what was their argument? Their argument was that the name change doesn't happen as yet. Amber. Amber girl think Anthony's weak. There you go. Anthony's salty right now. Alexis is saying salty. It's just so much right now. We just know some new things right now. Aman elevates Kai to see the clouds. Come on, guys. Don't you want Kai to be elevated? Why would you not want Kai to be elevated? Listen to me. Anthony is not tall enough to elevate him. Does Kai need to be, here we go, to be elevated? Kai needs to be elevated. Oh, put that. Need to be elevated. Apparently, Kai told Iman that he needed to be elevated. Does Kai need to be elevated? That's what Iman said. Iman elevate him. Iman says that he needs to elevate Kai. I mean, I know him. Get him into the that him say. Just, we can't, but I know him say he need to elevate Kai. Charmin, what you saying, Charmin? I'm looking for your comment, Charmin, and see exactly what's going on. Y'all are really something else. Does changing Kai's name legitimize him, or this is another whole process? Does changing Kai's name legitimize him, or is it? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Changing Kai's name has to go through the process that Linda was talking about, the whole idea of going to the Supreme Court, because a lot of things have to change with the name. So yes, it's a whole process. So changing the name from Dalton to Coley, because they have to change the father. It is a process. It is a big process. Does Kai need to be elevated? Yes. It's a big process. So the process will take long. It's like what Linda was explaining to us, that it takes some time. You have to go through the courts and you have to petition the courts for them to do the name change. It is a process, Charmin. It is definitely a process. I saw Iman say hi. He could probably. I saw him say, "Why elevate him?" Let me see what y'all say. Oh, I saw. There's a lot of good that's doing to Anthony right now. What him need is just forget the courts and keep working on the thing and pushing him foot on it. Yes, this is being petty, and I love this. Yes, Amber, give it to him. That man don't give a damn. The tables are now turning. I hope so. I hope so. Anthony is not wrong. Anthony is not wrong in his feelings. What parent would want his child around a person that constantly smokes weed? And that is the thing. So he's not wrong. That Ozzy, I think that is the same thing. I think it's the same thing. It might be salty, but the truth is, it's not incorrect to say as to what's going on right now. Linda, where's Linda? And look at him on the bed rest, acting like a spoiled brat because he didn't get his way. He has no control over it until he goes to court. Yes, this is exactly what Linda was saying today. There's a level of thing that they have to do in the courts. I'm have a petition to the courts. Correlate, I say correlate and Nanya exactly. Because both Iman and Delicia smoke. I got a feeling that the more he goes over there, he will smell it. So that is the thing that Ozzy is raising, right? Will Anthony eventually pick up on the weed smoking? Because Delicia also smokes. That's a really good comment. One for yes and two for no. That's a really good comment because they could have them picking up on that. Amber's better for Kaya Sarita. Yes, Ozzy, me believe what you're saying. I think Kai's gonna get a hold of one of Iman's joints and put it in his mouth. And you know babies put things in their mouth. Something will happen and Anthony and Amber will end up with him. Possibly. But then again, Mary, you heard what Evan told you today. Evan tell us that if it's a first offense, chances are even if Anthony ends up with him, they will give him back to Shayla again if she goes through the processes. We told y'all that I not really saw it work. You don't really just get the baby like that. You understand? Because even though you are the man, it takes a while for you to get the child. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. And we would want this. We would want to see this happen based on the courts. But when it comes to a man, because Anthony is a man, as long as Shayla can remedy whatever has happened from before, the chances and the likelihood of them giving her back, giving the child back to her is very high. I told you the courts are made for women. I already said make for women. The laws are made for women. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. Smokers are good people too. They are good people, Wallace. That's not the thing I think people are pointing on. They just don't like the whole idea that the weed smoking is around the baby. No one would like that at all. Nobody would like that people to be smoking. If I was a man, I wouldn't want a woman to be smoking weed on the kid either. Whether it's the mother or is the whoever it is, I would have been complaining. Whether if it was Shayla that was smoking, I would have been complaining. So I can't say nothing. O'Neill, Wayne told Anthony that Iman smoked weed. Okay, so in other words, he already knows that Iman smokes weed. But it's not for him to catch him on that. George says they shouldn't have waited until the name change DNA to do the DNA, and they could have avoided all of this foolishness and could have gotten child support and visitation done as well if it is his kid. I don't know, yeah, man. I don't know. I'm surprised he hasn't smelled it already. I'm surprised they haven't gone into that direction, but maybe they're not writing into that direction. Denise, you may have a point there. Proactive is always good. Hold on. Denise is saying being proactive. Denise, let me see a comment. Amber needs to do classes so the courts will allow Kai to come over. Shayla will say she is a danger. Yeah, but you would have to. Okay, I know what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But okay, they would have to see. Let's see now, cause she get let out from whatever at this time. She didn't really catch a charge. That's the thing. She really wasn't locked up, so it would be pretty tough for them to hold her down on that charge, I believe. But again, hey, these things swing. You never know. You get in front of the right judge and you know what happened. And don't forget that Angelina walked in the house and smelled the weed. We also remember that. That is true, Linda. There is a smell of weed all through the furniture, the floor, the countertops, everywhere. It is in the clothes, it's everywhere. That's what they're talking about today. Matt telling us that the weed thing, the writers are high. I was gonna write the script and then I got high. I want to take a small little trip, but then I got high. I was gonna write and take a sip, and I don't know why. Because I got high, because I got high, because I got high. Well, the writers are high. That is something else. That is something else. Anthony knows that Iman smokes because Wayne told him that he's as high as a kite and don't know what's going on. So, in other words, Anthony knows that Iman smokes. So, is it that Anthony is not so great about this? I don't let them create their own stories. I think people are just watching the story and just kind of learn what them can learn. Wayne told Iman that Iman is always high. Okay. He is not on Anthony. Run. Okay. 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 It makes sense. It does make sense. The charge was dropped. That's what I was saying, KP. The charge was dropped. And if the charge is dropped, you can't get somebody on that. You'd have to have an active charge for them to not want Amber around the kid. Amber should have had to prove those things that Amber has done something to him or whatever it is. Him and Shayla shouldn't hold him either. Anthony just want to check on Shayla so he can continue digging Shayla's SSA. Hold on, Angela Atkins. Let me read the comment. Let me see what you're saying. But O'Neill, being that Anthony's married, wouldn't that make the difference in letting Anthony keep Kai? No. Anthony, not Anthony, Evan White Sr. was on today. And Evan is married as well. And it did not make a difference for Evan either. It didn't make a difference. As long as the mother can get rehabilitated, sometimes, by the way, it's not all foolproof. But in most cases, if the mother has a good lawyer, she can talk her way into getting a couple classes. She get the class them done, and then Anthony will go to joint custody, but not full custody. So what will happen is joint custody, but not full custody. So you can have a situation where you have joint custody, but just not full custody. That's what is making this the way it is. Here's Evan, and I'm glad Evan come back and tell you what's going on. They want to do the child support until the DNA. They want to do the child support until the DNA test is done. Evan told y'all today exactly what it is. Angela Atkinson, how them work it is again. The court definitely does favor if the mother can show that she can be rehabilitated and there's no weed smoke, then chances are them can get out tight. Amber acted very uncivilized. Iman look at the high road, took the high road in Atlanta. All right. That's what's going on here. So it just depends upon all of these. Let me see what you say, Elise. Anthony pays all the bills and he should kick everyone out of the apartment. He should. But him just now kick everybody out of the apartment. I wouldn't list the street boy. Street boy just have do this for kicks. This one time, it's just for kicks. I'm not. She's not uncivilized. Uncivilized look different from that. Shayla is uncivilized. If I were to give anybody the uncivilized tag, I would say that Shayla is uncivilized. If there's anybody may I get the tag, that would have said. That's what I would have said. But anyway, Amber made the mistake when she came to Shayla's house and chased her in the room with Kai in her arms. That could have been used against her if Shayla says that Amber was trying to hurt Kai. Yeah, but until him have a charge, there's nothing really and truly that can happen at all. You understand? And that's what I'm gonna say with it. The judge would ask why Shayla allowed Kai to spend a whole day and night with Amber's residence knowing that she's dangerous. That makes sense, Charmaine. So they're gonna ask exactly because they're gonna use them proof there for ask the question. Well, I mean, but you know, he spent the time there before. Charges still on record? No, they're not on record. When the charges are dropped, they're not on record. She wasn't charged. She was booked into whatever it is. But if the charges are dropped, they're not on record. They're not on record. They're definitely not on record. I know about that one. They're not on record. I think someone tried to charge me with something one time and didn't work. Because it's foolishness. Nothing against me. You know, so hey, we make the courts do due process. But O'Neill, being that Anthony is married, I read the comment. I think I read the comment. Angela Atkinson. Let me see what y'all saying. Amber can deny she do any of that. This is her word against Amber's. Exactly. There is no charge on the books, guys. None. The charges are dropped. Shayla dropped the charges on the beautiful black eye. And what else do you have to say? Amber is a danger. Shayla dropped the charges. Once you drop the charge, that's it. You can't pick up that charge again. There is no more black eye. You have to use it whenever you have it. Anthony, you have to take your shoes off and walk free. Marcus ain't easy to Marcus. Marcus is using Iman's line tonight. Yes, Anthony if you take off his shoes and walk free. Anthony's kicking the vegetables. Is Anthony kicking the vegetables? As Iman would say, One for yes and two for no. Everyone's case is different. Shayla barely has Kai. Every time Anthony comes over there, Kai is at Angelina. Shayla don't have a job. So if Kai runs into the streets with Iman, etc. Yes, all the cases are different, but the one thing I'm sure when it comes to kids, it, it is tough for a man to just trust what we are telling you. It's tough for a man prove, say, he must get full custody of a child. Joint custody, yes. Full custody, you will have to prove that. Especially now that Kai has established full custody with Shayla. Him have physical custody, meaning he lives there. You're going to have to say why. Why? You have something called a psychological evaluation. Social workers tend to get social workers get employed a lot of time to do what is called a psychological evaluation, right? It's an objective opinion that states where do you feel will be the best interest of this child. Now, the judge takes it into consideration, but him not always take it into consideration. And even if you come up with different ways and you tell them why, the judge can still give certain things. The law just bent more toward women. It just is. I don't know if it's about it, but the law is just bent towards women. Anthony, to relax and listen to the birds. When Shayla dropped the charges, Amber should have tried to get back David then. Makes sense. But I don't know if she could have done it then because she was too unstable. Some probably would say then, Moon said then. Everybody's acting like because Shayla dropped the charge, it never happened. If they pull up some camera footage machine, she ran up on Shayla at her apartment. Yes, but okay. So let's work on this. Let's work on this. Let's work on this. All right. We know. I know what we're gonna do. I know what we're gonna do. Hold on. Hold on. Let's go. Let's get our friend Chat GPT in the building. Let's call our good old friend Chat GPT. Let's go. So the question is, if the charges has been dropped, have been dropped for assault in Georgia, can, here we go, will they show up on your record in Georgia? There we go. Let's get some context. Okay, so here's how it works. Arrest records still exist. The man showed that she arrested. Even if the charges are dropped, the arrest itself appears on a criminal history record unless it is formally restricted, expunged. So maybe she has had it expunged. This means lawful law enforcement and sometimes employees, especially government or licensed positions, can still see that you are arrested. It will show the charges were dismissed and not prosecuted. Public records, public, including most employers and background check companies, can see the charges are dropped unless you request record restriction. So while it won't say you were convicted, the arrest and dismissal might still appear. How to remove it? You can apply for record restriction in the state of Georgia. The charges were dismissed, nolle prost, or you were found not guilty. The case did not result in a conviction. So there you go. There you go. There you go, folks. There you go. So that's how it works. Now, if the charges, here we go, in Georgia, if an assault charge was dropped, can it be used against you in a child custody case? Here we go. Let's get some data. Here you go. One, drop charges. Are you guys seeing this? We're doing the research. Let's do the research. Some people are say, yo, let's check the research. Dropped charges are not conviction. If an assault charge is dropped, that means there is no conviction, no finding of guilt, and legally you are presumed innocent of that allegation. So, in strict legal terms, a drop charge cannot be treated as proof that you commit assault. But family courts have a lower standard of proof. Custody courts in Georgia use the best interest of the child standard. This means that the judge doesn't need proof beyond a reasonable doubt, only enough evidence to raise concern about a child's safety or environment. So, even though the criminal case was dropped, the incident itself or allegations behind it can be brought up in family court if the other parent or their lawyer mentions the incident as a part of a pattern of behavior, and there's some evidence like police reports, written statements, or text suggesting it happened. The judge can consider the circumstances surrounding the dropped charge, not the dropped charge itself, when deciding custody or visitations. You see this? So this is my take on it. And again, so there you go. There you go, friends. So what I would say with this, bottom line, a dropped assault charge in Georgia cannot be used as proof of violence. Okay, a dropped assault charge in Georgia cannot be used as proof of violence in a child custody case, but the underlying allegation still may be discussed if the other parent raises concerns. Your attorney can object or limit how the information is used, especially if there's no evidence of wrongdoing. Do you guys see this? So do you guys see this? There you go. There you go. So she'd have to fight it. So the truth is that M. Johnson is saying, hey, there is still pieces that Shayla could possibly use. But Amber would have to fight the case. So she could still use pieces of it, but Amber would have to fight the case. All right. So this let me explain exactly what's here. I'm no lawyer, but I'm giving you what it is. O'Neill, please explain to them that just because they are not getting that the charge is no longer a concern. So actually, Nanya, let me push it up again so y'all see it. Let me push it up again so y'all see it. Actually, this is what it is saying. Right? Let's look at what it is saying. Bottom line. This is just a rough estimate. Again, it's not legal advice, friends. Don't take this as legal advice. Just like when we had Linda on the show, these things are not legal advice. We're just using the story to see if we can learn something. Because I'm learning something too, just like y'all. We learn a bunch of different things at different times. Only doesn't know everything. So, based on this, it says a dropped assault charge in Georgia cannot be used as proof of violence in a child custody case. So you can't use it as proof. But the underlying allegation can still be brought up. So what can happen is Shayla can bring it up. Shayla can bring it up, right? She can bring it up. Now, Amber will have to get her, well, Anton will have to get his lawyer to counteract the statement or limit it or object against it and say, well, it has not happened since. So based on what you guys are saying, right? Hold on. I'm giving you what to say. It's on your screen. But the underlying allegations might still be discussed in other parent if the other parent raises concern. You see that? So she can, so that's the thing. But then Anthony will have to argue with Anthony. That's all I must say. Is that Anthony will have to argue it. Bottom line of it is Amber have a more likelihood to win. Bottom line to what I'm saying is Amber, this is the bottom line. This is the bottom line. Amber will more likely to win that. And I think that because based on the mere fact that based on the fact that Kai has been over there and nothing else has happened, based on how they're listing the law, it's almost like you need to see tracks of her, what you call it now, threatening them. You need to see things of this. So that's what it is. You're going to have to see a pattern of that behavior. If there's a pattern of the behavior, then Shayla can say that. But if there's no pattern of that, if there's no pattern of Amber always attacking her, then that's where it gets thrown out. That's what they're saying. That's my interpretation of it. But again, because I've done one or two like, custody case, and when we go into it, you have to have pattern. You have to show a pattern of things. Because if you give the judge one instant, him now just take that one instant. Linda can back this up. Linda have some experience with all of this. So it's pattern. I think you're going to want like a pattern. Amber does not have a pattern of being vicious to the baby at all. So she can't really bring that up. The fact that Kai was at the estate with Shayla, consent should be proof that it is not exactly. That's what I would say. I would use this as my argument. But judge, if I was this dangerous, then why it is that I was allowed to be there? This is what I think would be the argument. So you're correct here, so Shamin. This would shut down the argument. Shamin, me think this would have shut down the argument with the Amber thing. This would shut down the argument. Now, Iman is questionable because Iman is smoking the weed. Iman is questionable because, like Kasim says, Iman is smoking the stickiest of icky. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Iman is questionable. That's what's going on. Iman is now questionable because Iman have all the other things. Them. Amber on a pattern of abuse. You'd have to have a pattern of abuse for Amber to be proven with whatever it is. I was involved in one or two little case, and you did have to prove that in two states. In two states, I was involved in one or two of these little cases. Lord, me not have to bring it up, but anyway, I was involved in one or two cases. One was in the state of Louisiana, and one was in the state of where else? And one was in the state of Pennsylvania. And in the two states, you have to prove those things. The thing with the pattern thing, you have to prove that first. So Shayla can bring it up, but you'd have to prove a level of pattern. You have to prove that, Amber has been threatening her and Amber has been threatening the baby and Amber has been violent excessively, and you have to prove those things. So I think that I believe that should win this one. I think Iman right now is a bigger case. Iman is a bigger case than Amber. That's what I believe. I believe Iman is a bigger case than Amber because Iman is smoking the weed. Yeah, we're pretty much almost there. Anyway, friends. Anyways. It's a mini live. I don't want to drag it on too long. You already saw me for 2 hours for tonight. Friends, have a wonderful evening. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Enjoy y'all's time. Enjoy y'all's husband and wife and all them kind of thing. Boyfriend, girlfriends, family, everything. I'm going to talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a wonderful night.